Welcome to Monday at Crane and Company. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, also known as the Statesboro Slinger. To my right, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. I don't know how we're going to fit in all the news in sports today, but we're sure as heck going to try as we preview the College Football National Championship. It's set. We dive into the NFL playoffs with coaching changes, and we give you our top plays of what was a wild weekend in sports. Blaine, can you please tell the good people of the Booster Club how the chat and polls will...
Yeah, would love to. What's up, chat? Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. We're going to have multiple polls throughout the show. In some polls, you get to decide who won the segment, so you better pick me. I'm going to take it over to David Cohn here. David, can you tell me about this Hot Take Hotline?
We will be taking your live calls on the Hot Take Hotline. Those lines are going to open at 3:50 Eastern. That's 2:50 Central. The number is 1-855-236-3228. Each caller gets a 60-second shot clock. Call in, give us your hottest take, and tell the new father here congratulations.
Yeah. Yes, man, I thought I knew what love was. I had no idea. But I do also know we're locked in and loaded here on Crane and Company. Let's have a good Monday, people. Pretty much everybody and their brothers picking Ohio State to beat Notre Dame and win the national championship. And I get it. They should be the favorite. But if there's one way that Notre Dame could win, it's with a heroic effort from their captain and quarterback, Riley Leonard. And make no mistake, he's got to be Superman. Because Ohio State's going to score, even if Notre Dame plays great on defense. So Riley and this offense is going to have to find ways to manufacture points. And you can't just do it with one move. After all, what makes Superman Superman is his versatility. Yes, he has the laser vision, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. He has superhuman strength and speed and so much more. But we all know in the saga of Superman, his weakness is kryptonite. And for Leonard in this Irish offense, their kryptonite is a consistent passing game against good teams. The only way Superman wins is by somehow defying his weakness, and that's exactly what they have to do. Because you aren't going to consistently run over or by this Buckeye defense. They're just too good. So in order to save the world in the eyes of the Irish faithful, he's going to have his best game ever throwing the ball, and he needs to do it early. So throw on the cape, kiss Lois Lane, and for Notre Dame's sake, let's hope there's a phone booth nearby, because come kickoff time, Superman has to show up, because he truly is their only hope. David Cohn, very interesting matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame. What are some things, or maybe one main thing you're looking at in this game as we get ready to have the finale of the first ever 12-team college football playoff?
Well, I like your take on Riley Leonard. He does need to be a hero, and I don't think it can just be on the ground. I think he needs to impress us through the air in a way that, he hasn't done consistently throughout the season. And that really brings me to my biggest key for the national championship, which is turnovers for Will Howard, because I don't think Will Howard has to be a hero with the offensive firepower that the Buckeyes have. So it'll be interesting to me on whether or not Notre Dame can turn him over and how well he protects the football. Now, when I was doing my research on this and the turnovers for Will Howard throughout the year, I did stumble upon something interesting. There was a 6-game stretch in the middle of the season for the Buckeyes where in 5 of those games he threw interceptions, and the Buckeyes won all 5 of those games. The 6th game was against Oregon, where he didn't throw an interception, and they lost that game. So there may be a faction of Buckeyes fans who are saying, maybe trying to draw a parallel to what Georgia did this season, which was, when Carson Beck turned the football over, we were averaging even more points per game. I think we can overcome an interception or two. This isn't Marshall. Right? This isn't Iowa you're playing in the middle of the season. You can't sustain turnovers in the national championship and against this level of competition when you're playing the likes of Notre Dame. He threw 2 interceptions against Michigan. They lost that game 13-10. He threw a crucial interception last week against Texas, and that was right when Texas was fighting, knocking on the doorstep to be able to come back. If there was any semblance of an offense for Texas, that would have really, I think, put the dagger in the heart there. So, Will Howard, don't turn the football over. There's more than enough firepower on offense for the Buckeyes to win the national championship without him having to force things.
Well, to that point, the only reason Notre Dame's here is because they've come up with those big turnovers in key moments.
Lead the nation.
I feel like Notre Dame's secondary has made the most big plays when other teams are in the red zone, whether, I know, Blaine, we talked about the man coverage. You're going to get into that. But Notre Dame beats you with complimentary football. So before I go to you, Blaine, though, Cone, to that point, if you're Chip Kelly and you're looking at this game and you're saying, our team is better than Notre Dame's as long as we don't screw it up. Now, Notre Dame fans won't believe that. I get that, but I think most of us think that's the case. Do you have a more conservative game plan or maybe take more things underneath early to not put Will Howard in that position? How would you call it, or do you just dance with the one that brought you? We're gonna take our shots.
Don't go getting in his head. Like, don't allude to the fact that, hey, you can't turn the football over in this game. Call the offense the way you've been calling it, but keep in mind that Will Howard, your quarterback, will throw the football to the other team. To your point about Notre Dame, not only do they lead the nation in takeaways, they lead the nation in point off takeaways. So traditionally, when they do get a big turnover, the way Texas did the other day but didn't capitalize, Notre Dame has been capitalizing on those turnovers. I think I'm just calling it straight up, and I'm interested to see how much they use him in the quarterback run game. Not a lot last week against Texas, but in crucial moments, and Blaine, you were the one who called those moments. A lot of empty sets, getting him in huge first down pickups, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes out to empty, there's nothing that puts your defense in more of a stranglehold with a quarterback that can do what Riley Leonard does. Kind of got me thinking a little bit. When's the last time Ohio State faced a guy like Riley Leonard? Have they played a guy like this? I guess you could say Nico might be the closest thing.
Dylan could run a little bit.
But not
different.
A true dual threat,
He's
right?
not going to run Q power and Q counter at you 10 times.
I think the biggest factor that we have to look at when it comes to that might be the outcome of this game is what Notre Dame does on defense. Notre Dame, from a defensive standpoint, leads the nation in man coverage. It leads the nation in cover one, which is one high safety, and the rest of the team runs man. But the thing about that, and I think they've been doing that well, and they're the best at they do, graded out the number one team in the nation. I just don't think you're going to be able to do that against Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And this is why, if you go back and you look at that Texas game, Texas ran heavy zone coverage. Heavy zone coverage that was slanted over.
Umbrella up top.
Umbrella, absolutely slanted over Ohio State's best receiver, Jeremiah Smith. But you're not going to be able to sit back and run man coverage against these guys because, one, Will Howard grades out second in the nation. I will repeat this, second in the nation against man coverage. So Will looks at man and he likes it extremely well. But it's not only Jeremiah Smith you have to worry about, right? Ohio State does a great job getting Mbuka, moving him in motions, creating mismatches and problems. And another guy that kind of came through in the Texas game, that's Carnell Tate. Made some big plays and big moments. And another one is Henderson at running back, who's an absolute nightmare when it comes to matchup coverage with your linebacker. So can Notre Dame sustain? Because I don't think Notre Dame's offense is good enough just to sit back and run man coverage and hope that you can stop these guys, because you're not going to. Ohio State is built to beat man coverage. Yeah. So I think if you look at that is going to be a huge key. And we talked about it earlier. Does Notre Dame change their identity to have a better chance to win this national championship game, or is it too late to do that?
Well, and that's the conundrum you find yourself in. Let's not forget, Drew Aller missed some wide open guys. It wasn't like that Penn State was just locked up the whole game in man coverage. I go back to the goal line play. You run a perfect pick route to hit the back out of the backfield on the arrow, and you underthrow them. There was multiple times in that game where Drew Aller wasn't able to take advantage of schematically what Andy Kotelnicki, because everybody knows Notre Dame's running man. This is no secret. And I think Notre Dame does a good job matching coverage out of man, which can give you some versatility there, keeps you from getting picked. But if you're Notre Dame and you're Al Golden and everything has worked so well defensively, do you change your stripes, which shows weakness to your players? Which is basically saying, guys, this is what we're best at. This is what we've done, but we're going to change it because I don't think we're good enough. Or, because you got a couple options. Texas's defensive game plan, I thought, was the best one you can roll out against Ohio State. Keep everything in front of you, play umbrella coverage, but in order to do that, to keep those safeties deep, to play that umbrella coverage, you have to be able to match up with an even box. You can't overload the box to stop the run. Texas, outside of the first drive, was able to do that. I was watching the game in the hospital room as my wife was as my wife was laying with our brand new child. It's just still a mismatch to me these whole 3 days. But I don't think Notre Dame is going to do that. So here's what I think you're going to see. Pressure on Will Howard, because you can't sit back there, and if you're not going to get there with 4, be able to play man coverage and let those freak shows that you just talked about. Because Carnell Tate is a premier wide receiver. Egbuka is a 1 for everybody else when you don't have Jeremiah Smith. And we're not even talking about G. Scott at tight end. So, David, is the answer pressure? If we're going to run man coverage, Even if it ends up being 0, at least we're making him make a quick decision instead of sitting back there.
Well, certainly they do need to get to Will Howard, and that speaks to my point, which is if you're able to get home to him, you increase your chances that he will throw you the football. The question then for me still remains about coverage, because there's a lot of different ways to bring pressure. That doesn't automatically mean man coverage behind it. You can bring fire zone pressures, which I think would be
Texas
good.
did that.
The interception he threw was against a catting out, either defensive end or linebacker to the boundary side. He threw it right to him. I think we talked about this with Jalen Milroe throughout the season. Like, he will throw you the football in zone coverage. When they see man, they eat it alive because it makes the reads easier. One more point to what you said about Notre Dame on defense. I guess there is an element that if you just completely change up everything you've done that has worked when you get to the last game of the season, that could signal weakness. At the same time, I hope that the Notre Dame players on defense would be able to trust the defensive coordinator to say, like, hey, this is our opponent. This is the best game plan to beat our opponent. Don't you think they would get on board with saying, like, hey, we're down for whatever game plan is best?
That's a maturity question. The way I would frame it is this. Hey, guys, listen, we all know we run a lot of man coverage. Ohio State knows that. We know that. God knows that. The Pope knows that. What if we were to show a lot of man coverage looks and turn it into zone post snap?
Yeah.
That would be my answer. That's another thing outside of saying, hey, let's walk guys up to the line of scrimmage, whether we're bringing bullets, whether we're bringing cross snakes, whether we're bringing cats or whatever. I think Al Golden, who's an incredible schematic guy. I mean, he's really, really good. Do you start disguising coverages to try and confuse Will Howard? That's the biggest question. But I think they are mature enough to handle it. But still, deep down in your core, we're changing what we do. And I think that kind of brings in some weakness.
Yeah, two things. One, if you're going to blitz Will Howard, you better tackle well. You better tackle well, because these guys at receiver are really good at breaking tackles.
And Henderson out of the backfield. Look at before halftime.
What I mentioned earlier. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Texas was the biggest front seven Ohio State's seen the entire year. Texas could run a light box and stop the run against Ohio State. Notre Dame's not built the same way Texas is. Notre Dame is not huge when it comes to the front seven. So I get it, if you're going to bring pressure, that's fine. But if you are going to drop out and play zone, and you have an even box or a light box, can you stop the Ohio State run the way Texas did? I don't think they can.
That's where it stops and starts. All right, let's get to the chat.
All right, chat. Remember, you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate on topic, it will get read. We're going to go ahead and get to a donation, a $5 donation from Brent. Thank you, Brent. It says, defense and special teams is our only chance. I hope it's at least close. Go Irish.
Well, I agree with you. All I've talked about is complementary football. That's why Notre Dame is here. They run kicks back, right? They affect you in ways that they don't, just have to sit there and score 40 points on offense, and they're going to need that more than ever. But I don't think you can just rely on that. You have to have answers. That's why we talked about Riley Leonard in the open, maybe even throwing on early downs, because you know what Ohio State's going to do to try and stop you. Do not be shocked at all if you see a Tebow-style pop pass at some point from Riley Leonard in this game, whether it's on the first big 3rd and short, 4th and short, or in the red zone. I would have that in the package. It is going to take a full-throated effort from everybody on Notre Dame, from the long snapper to the left tackle, to win this football game.
Let's go to Dancing Dan. What's up, man? He says, I'm worried about our tackles for Notre Dame on the offensive line. These DNs we're about to play are some of the best in the nations, and our tackles haven't been great this
And they're down another tackle now, right?
Yeah.
The left tackle out for this game.
Yeah, and if you saw what Abdul Carter did to him on the edge, it does not get any easier.
And I will say Abdul Carter is a top 5 pick.
Yeah, and it didn't help that you weren't chipping him either until later in the game.
Well, you're not going to be able to do that this game. I mean, you got JTT and Jack Sawyer on each side. I mean, and right now Notre Dame ranks 82nd when it comes to tackle protection in the nation, and Ohio State's one of the best.
Well, if Notre Dame gets in 3rd and 6 or more, they're in big trouble.
But how do you neutralize that?
Well, it's a lot of it. You talk about chipping. Again, Blaine, I agree with you. You're not going to be able to do that in this game. I think what you do when you have those, obviously the run game is huge. You want to slow down a pass rush. You run it right at them. Typically, great pass rushers don't like it to get run right at them. Everybody's not Myles Garrett, right? Some guys really do only have one move from a pass rushing standpoint. I think you supplement a little bit of that run game to slow them down with the quick passing game. But then again, Ohio State does a good job of batting the ball down. But Riley Leonard is a taller guy, so I think he can get away with some stuff. Run your swings, run your bubbles, run your hitches. Get him some early wins in the passing game, and then move forward from there, kind of slow everybody down. But the best way to neutralize a good pass rush, guys, is getting in 3rd and 4 or less. That's going to be the trick when you have a running quarterback.
Let's go to T. Smith 0323. He says, question, has Ohio State, kind of hit it earlier, has Ohio State seen a dynamic runner like Leonard this season, and how do you think they are going to game plan against him?
Well, I think it's like stopping the dive against a triple option team. the first thing I'm doing is stopping Riley Leonard. The problem for Notre Dame is who really scares you on the outside. Faison's a nice player. Greathouse is a good player. Your best matchup's probably the tight end now that he's healthy. We saw what he was able to do last game. So if Notre Dame had a great passing game and they were versatile, you can find ways with the quarterback to be able to make that effective. But I'm not worried about Ohio State's speed, strength, or power, and they don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and that's the difference. So let's go ahead and get to this poll.
All right, who will win the national championship, fellas? Ohio State
How bad was
or
it?
Notre Dame? It's a little bit lopsided here. I'm not going to lie. It's Ohio State 70%.
Okay.
Notre Dame
70-30.
I wonder how much of the public money is on Ohio State.
Well, the spread has gone down.
What's it at now?
It opened at 9.5. Last time I saw it was at 8.5, and the money was laying for it to go down another.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. All right, speaking of interesting, a lot going on, David, in the NFL. Let's get to it.
Yeah, boys, let's get to our best and worst from an awesome wild card weekend. Why don't you start off? You going to take Jayden Daniels?
You know, I am going to take Jayden Daniels, and you know, we're not always right. Nobody's ever right. We're the first one to come and make fun of ourselves and say when we're wrong. That's what I think makes this show great. We're not afraid to say when we're wrong. Some guys get truly butthurt about it. But I came out in the draft and said I thought Jayden Daniels was the best quarterback in the NFL draft, including, you know, Caleb Williams, Drake May, who I think has a chance. But when you look at what he's done, and let's just take his athleticism out of it for a second. You know, it's one thing to be very athletic, but let's put that to the side. Jayden Daniels has that dog in him. In the fourth quarter, when it comes down to it, look at his reaction after the made field goal. He's cool as a cucumber, right? And it's not just like he can run around and just outrun everybody. His passing ability is next level. He is a layered thrower. He can throw the fastball. He can throw the changeup, throw the hole shot, throw the lollipop screen, drop it in the bucket, right? And you got some guys that obviously help on the outside. You look at McLaurin and some other pieces. But the one thing that worried me was Jayden Daniels' instincts as a runner from a physicality standpoint. Because in college, he ran like he was the size of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He is not the size of Josh Allen. That, to me, is what's been able to not only let him reach his maximum efficiency from a just play standpoint, passing, running, but staying on the field. Because he is so dynamic. And what I mean about the dog in him, I think the best example I can give you is the Redskins are down 17-13. It's a fourth down from, I think, the 6. They run a pass play. It was pass interference. They didn't call it. Buccaneers get the ball. Baker Mayfield fumbles, trying to, hand it to McMillan, fake to McMillan or whatever. The Redskins get the ball right back. It's another fourth down and goal. Doesn't blink an eye. Goes through it, through his progressions, sits in the pocket, makes a really good throw for a touchdown. They're able to hang on a win. He is the complete package as a player from an athletic, instinctual, and ability-wise as a thrower. But it's the mental side, I think, for Jayden Daniels. And I'm not even talking about the painting your fingernails or crying to your mom or any of that stuff, because you can do that and still be a dog. Believe me, we're going to get to Bill Belichick's new quarterback here in a little bit. But I think it is the moxie that he has that is the most outstanding.
Can we show the game-winning field goal? It should be clip 19.
Yeah.
And this was really the only game from Wild Card Weekend that was competitive. This is the game winner with 3 seconds left.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play it. I thought he
right there. I thought it was wide.
So I don't know why, but to me, the first thing I thought of was the basketball equivalent of this is when Kawhi Leonard had that game-winning shot that hit the front of the rim, the back of the rim, and then went in. And if you watch Zane Gonzalez walking out in the field, I've never seen a person more nervous to go out there and make it. It's like when you realize she has your location on her phone. Like, that's what it looked like to me.
Well, and there's actually a story that came out. Zane Gonzalez suffers from OCD. I bet. And he talked about it in college, and that is his tick, right? When he comes out there combing over his hair. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, you made the field goal. Yeah. So, but I just don't think, and a lot of people jumped on the dude and started making fun of the guy. It's just like,
I was nervous for him.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be nervous in that situation.
You made the kick.
You made the kick, but like a lot of people need to get off his ass about his OCD tick. You know what I'm saying? That's just not a good
And it's not like the Redskins have had a great run of kickers here lately. I think they're on like their 6th guy.
What Jayden Daniels is doing is really unprecedented as a rookie quarterback. And I hate it in this particular situation for Baker because I've started to really like this new version of Baker Mayfield. We talked about when's Baker going to grow up once he left Cleveland, had a couple different stops. I'm loving done this version of Baker. I don't think his run with the Bucs is going to be done. I still think that he has a high ceiling ahead of him. And it's not just Jayden Daniels when we talk about the Redskins. Look at that. Like, you bring in Dan Quinn. He took the Falcons to a Super Bowl. That's a big part of it. Cliff Kingsbury, your OC. I think Cliff Kingsbury is best when he's an OC rather than a head coach. And most importantly, new ownership. Look what happens when you get new ownership and you reset the culture. They're winning their first playoff game in 20 years. But my best, I'm going to take the Bills and the Ravens. And we're going to get the matchup that I don't know if we deserve the matchup that we're going to get, but we are going to get Lamar Jackson and we're going to get Josh Allen. The Bills 31-7 over the Broncos, Ravens 28-14 in a divisional matchup they had over the Steelers. Josh Allen 318 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry for the Ravens 186 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson 256 total yards, 2 touchdowns. By the way, Derrick Henry was averaging 7.2 a pop, and the Ravens rushed for 299 total. So we're going to get this as the divisional matchup next weekend. This game's going to be in Buffalo. I saw the Ravens right now are favored by a point. I think it's -1 Ravens. And again, look, we can talk about how, both of these guys have underperformed in the postseason and how, Patrick Mahomes has reigned supreme over the AFC, and all that's true. But at some point, something's got to give. Lamar's 3-4 in the postseason. Josh Allen 6-5. The only time they've met up in the postseason was in the divisional round in 2021. Josh Allen won that one. Right now, I'm just going to sit back with a bag of popcorn and watch this because both these guys have had an incredible year. The front runners for the MVP. Is there one guy you trust more than the other right now?
I wouldn't say guy, but I would say team. I would say roster. I trust. I mean, they did meet in the regular season. And the Ravens won 35-10. I think the Bills are a good team. I think Josh Allen is one of the best in the league. But I think the Ravens, as a roster, are built better than the Bills are, and I would trust the Ravens more than I do the Bills.
Well, I look at the home team here. That's really the only thing I'm looking at. I mean, outside of the Buccaneers, who we just brought up, all the home teams won. You look at what happened in the college football playoff. The home field advantage is a real thing. And in Buffalo, it's about as close to a college football atmosphere as you're going to get in the NFL. Here's what worries me a little bit about the Bills. You got in the red zone 5 times in that game. Didn't have a ton of success there. You do that against the Ravens, you're not going to win. You possess the ball for 41 minutes to the Broncos 18. That's not going to happen. These are really 2 possession teams if you really look at it. That's why I kind of like the under in this game, because I think you're going to get a lot of possessions. It's going to be somewhat slower. And then I watched the Ravens play the Steelers. What was the knock last year on the Ravens with the way they came out? Lamar Jackson just tried to turn into Dan Marino. Yeah. They threw it every play. First 4 or 5 plays of the Steelers game, Lamar Jackson was running it. You want to know how you help Derrick Henry out? Have a quarterback that can run, because you can't, put all your chips on one spot to stop Derrick Henry. But the Bills are at home. It's going to be fascinating. Which defense? There's going to be a lot of talk about the offenses. Which defense is going to bow up in this game? That's going to be your winner.
If you truly, truly love offensive play calling, like if you're a student of the game, this matchup with Joe Brady and Todd Monken calling plays against each other is going to be fantastic.
It's amazing you brought that up. Every single under hit in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every single under. Playoff defense. All right, my best and worst kind of coming from the same game here. So I'll just go transition right into my worst after this. But my best, Saquon Barkley. And a lot of people thinking because, wow, he's just with the ball in his hands, he's one of the most elite guys in the NFL from a running standpoint, from a catching standpoint out of the backfield, and even a blocking standpoint. But that's not it. I think the mentality and the attitude of Saquon Barkley is what makes him the best. He's a we guy and not a me guy, and he's a type of superstar that you want in the NFL. Let's just think about it right now. I mean, he didn't play the last game to break Eric Dickerson's record, and was fine with it. I mean, he could have scored an 80-yard touchdown right here against the Packers, but there's 1 minute left, and he took a dive, and he came out and said, I don't care about my stats. All right, I want to win football games. I want to win playoff games. You got this play right here. Gone. No one's catching him. He's out the gate. He knows the situation. He cares about his team more than he cares about himself, and that's what you want to build a locker room around. A guy like Saquon Barkley, who's elite on the field, he's elite when it comes to brotherhood, and he's elite if you want to face for your team. And on the other side, my worst is A.J. Brown. I mean, at the end of the day, the sideline antics, the post-game interviews, A.J. Brown cares more about his stats than he does winning football games. I mean, he is reading a book on the sidelines when the Eagles are up 9, when the Packers are driving. Would he be reading this book if he had more than 1 catch for 10 yards? I don't think so. I think the book's called like Inner Excellence is now the top book on Amazon seller, which is crazy.
I saw that.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever wrote that. But at the end of the day, A.J. Brown has to change his attitude. He's a superstar receiver. I think we can all agree on that. But this me football, this I have to get my own football is what kills locker rooms, and you will not win championships when your superstars act like this. So A.J. Brown needs to take and look at a guy on the other side of the ball in his own team about how to act when it comes to your teammates and the fans.
Well, I think it's one of the reasons the Steelers have been struggling. You know, that when it comes to winning big, what the fan base really wants. Not that they have, you know, Mike Tomlin's made the playoffs, it seems like, for the last 75 years, but they always have problems at wide receiver. Look at what happened with George Pickens now in the post-game interview. And to your point, but I think two things on both sides of that coin can be true. I think you're exactly right with A.J. Brown. You won the game. It's a playoff game. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. It's a team sport. But if the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl, you got to start getting this man the ball. Like, you're not going to sit here and just, I know your defense is number one in the NFL, but you have got to start getting this, because eventually, going down the road, you are going to have to score points to win. You're not just going to smother everybody defensively. And I'm going to get to my worst. It's funny. It's a good segue, actually, into Jordan Love. But having said that, A.J. Brown didn't handle it well. But the Eagles got to get this man the ball because he is a superstar receiver. He makes everybody around you better. 3 targets is not enough.
Yeah,
it's not enough.
And I don't think the Eagles before the game were like, hey, we're not going to throw A.J. Brown the ball.
No, Jalen Hurts didn't play his best game, and he was just coming back from a concussion. I do think there's some great parallels with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens, like we just talked about, because both of them already had explosive offenses, very solid quarterbacks. But then you add Derrick Henry to one of these teams and Saquon Barkley to the other team. Maybe they're just in the first round of the playoff game, they're just trying to say, hey, let's just test out really how good we are at running back here. Maybe that's the strategy.
No, it's again, and you won the game. That's what it comes down to. It's about winning. You win, everybody gets paid pretty much. I want to go to my worst, and it's Jordan Love. And not because I don't believe in Jordan Love, not because I think Jordan Love is a bad player or that he's overrated. It's when you have the type of performance that he had last year on the road at the Dallas Cowboys, and then you go and play the San Francisco 49ers, which he did throw 2 interceptions in that game. He fumbled once. They didn't get it back. I had really high expectations for him. And the Packers defense was all alone in that game. Look at special teams. McManus misses the first field goal ever in the postseason. For him. You fumble the opening kickoff return. You have penalties on special teams. The defense was out there trying to save them, and eventually the dam broke. But Jordan Love was making very, very elementary mistakes. The intermediate interception he threw it right to the guy. I have a very high standard for Jordan Love because I've seen him do it before. I think he's uber talented. You talk about a guy that handles his business, and I like the way he operates. Jordan Love is a hell of a teammate. You know, he's kind of got a little bit of that Baker in him. He's almost just one of the guys, right? He doesn't try and put himself above the team. But I was very, very disappointed in his performance. And you got a great performance from the defense, and you kind of wasted it. So now it's flipped the script on him in the playoffs. I talked about the Cowboys. You open up that game, you throw 3 touchdowns, you absolutely torch them. Then you go to the Niners, you throw 2 picks. Now you throw 3 picks with no interceptions in this game. So the last 2 out of 3 playoff games, you've thrown 5 interceptions, and you hadn't showed up in the playoffs. And that's not going to work after the Packers had a great year. And I hate it for Josh Jacobs, who's an absolute dog at running back. So that's my worst, unfortunately, for Jordan.
And you're playing for Matt LaFleur. You're not going to go somewhere else and have like a more elite play caller who's putting you in the best scenarios. Exactly. My worst from the NFL, I'm going to go with some breaking news right before the show started, which it sounds like the Dallas Cowboys are moving on from Mike McCarthy. Now, that alone, all by itself, you know, maybe that's not something to get all hot and bothered about, but it was just less than a week ago we were talking about this topic, and the Cowboys prevented the Bears from interviewing Mike McCarthy, and owner Jerry Jones was speaking highly of the coach. So made us all think that Mike McCarthy was going to remain the coach in Dallas. So a little bit of a circus that's going on there. And again, I'll say Mike McCarthy, 3 straight years going 12-5 with 3 straight playoff appearances. That's the first time that's happened in Dallas since the 1990s. And the 1990s is the standard that the Cowboys want to live up to with those 3 Super Bowls. So if it's just as simple as, look, the standard here is to win Super Bowls. Mike McCarthy's not doing that. We think we can do better. We're going to move on. That I understand. I just don't understand why you would sort of back the guy, and then we get this decision here, especially when the guy still managed to win 7 games in Dallas this season with Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb all ending the year on injured reserve. Like, those are your superstars. This is sort of like the Rams a couple years ago post-Super Bowl where the whole team was injured and they went 5-12. They didn't fire Sean McVay. Granted, when you have the equity built up of the Super Bowl championship, I know that's a little bit different. But I don't think you make this move unless you know for sure you already have the guy coming in, which we're going to talk about Deion Sanders in a little bit. But I don't know if that's the move for Jerry or if he already has his eye on someone else.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not upset at the result. I'm upset at the process. So I wonder what went down in those negotiations. Maybe Jerry Jones didn't plan on there being a mutual parting of ways, but Mike McCarthy had a certain number in mind, or maybe Mike McCarthy stood up to Jerry Jones. Maybe he stopped being the yes man, but you hadn't built up enough equity, especially here lately, to do that. So I agree with you 100%, Cone. Blaine, let's get to the chat here. Then I want to tell the good people about Black Rifle.
All right, let's go to Mike 13. What's up, man? He says, guys, can we talk about Justin Herbert real quick? Another letdown in the playoffs. I just don't think this guy is the future for the Chargers.
I've got it covered in top plays, but if you guys want to...
No, we'll get to that in top plays, Mike. Don't worry. We're going to get there.
All right, let's go to Michael 17. What's up, Mike? Says, guys, I don't know. I just don't think any team right now can beat the Chiefs. The Ravens look good. The Bills look good. But at the end of the day, you have to beat the Chiefs. And I don't know if you saw their new ref crew. The head ref has the Chiefs 6-0 when he does it.
Not shocked. Yeah, look, they've won back-to-back. Nobody's under the illusion that the Chiefs aren't the team to beat. I mean, I don't know how the Texans are going to score, and that's what makes the Chiefs scary, right? Andy Reid is so good at turning weaknesses or kind of hiding weaknesses. You know, it used to be just pure offense, outscoring people. Now the defense and special teams with Harrison Butker, who's an absolute butter festival every time he goes out there. That's what makes the Chiefs so scary. It's that versatility that we always talk about. Which teams win the most? The teams that can win the most ways. And I'm telling you guys right now, you know, it's funny. We talk about Derrick Henry and not load management, but the Ravens didn't really lean on him a lot towards the end of the year. And he's going to explode in the playoffs. I think you're going to see the same thing from Travis Kelce, who absolutely balls in the playoffs.
So you think the Chiefs will be better on offense in the postseason?
I think they will.
Than they were. Because that's the great fascination right now with the Chiefs. If you don't really watch the games and you just think, well, of course they're great again. They have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid calling plays and Travis Kelce. You don't realize out of nowhere this last 2 seasons, they've transitioned to the defensive team you're talking about. That's how they're winning. The Bills and the Ravens are better on offense than the Chiefs, and somehow they had a better year than the past 2 years. I agree with you, man. I think that the offense is going to do nothing but get better now that it's playoff.
They're like Jennifer Lawrence in X-Men to can change into anything. Like, what's the most advantageous thing in this game? Hell, they can even change into the ref if they have to. That's the scariest part about them.
Let's go to KG. He says, Jordan Love has looked awful for months. The ceiling is so high, but he has just been bad. It's not looking good for the Packers in the playoffs.
Well, it's hard for me to sit here and disagree with you because it's like Jordan Love does so many great things, but he makes the mistakes that he shouldn't, the easier mistakes. You know, it's one thing if a ball gets tipped at the line and it's intercepted, or somebody beats the tackle off the edge and they hit you as your arm's going back and you don't see it. Jordan Love is making mistakes that somebody right now at his level with that experience should not make. That's what would concern me the most. But what doesn't concern me is finding great coffee. And that's why, whether it's in this cup, whether it's in my cup at home or these two gentlemen to my sides, what they have at home, it's Black Rifle Coffee. And it's not just that they have light roasts or dark roasts, or they've got, speaking of versatility, a lot of different things that you're going to like, including espresso that happens to be the Statesboro Slingers' favorite over here. But it's also going to a great cause, because every purchase you make helps them further their mission to support veteran and first responder causes, from getting funding and equipment to first responders to helping veterans get medical care. I don't know if you've seen what's going on in California, but our first responders are pretty important, and we need to make sure that there's enough of them and that they're equipped and have everything they need, and Black Rifle Coffee is helping them do that. So head to blackriflecoffee.com right now. Use code DailyWire, all one word, for 20% off America's coffee. That's blackriflecoffee.com, code DailyWire. My favorite is Gunship. Coney, are you still guzzling?
I got all sorts. They sent me a Christmas roast that I drank for Christmas, which was awesome. I think you're talking about the Electric Eagle Espresso. Yeah.
And the names are awesome.
Silencer Smooth. I got Silencer Smooth at the house right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty good situation. So head to blackriflecoffee.com, use that code, and go enjoy it like we do here. But something else we enjoy, a little bit of debate. I don't know if you've been able to figure that out now. And our new format involves what's slowly becoming my favorite segment, a little bit of punt or go. D, tee it up. What do we
Let's
got?
do it. Punt or go. This is our debate segment. Each of us will make a statement, and the other two guys have 60 seconds uninterrupted to make their case to affirm that statement by going for it, or they can reject that statement by punting. Let's start off with Marcus Freeman. Currently, the Notre Dame head coach is going to be playing in the national championship next Monday, but that means he has drawn some interest from the National Football League, specifically right now from the Chicago Bears. So my statement to you guys is, for Marcus Freeman, coaching the Chicago Bears is a downgrade from being the coach at Notre Dame. Punt or go?
Go, 100%. I think it's a great compliment to Marcus, who's slowly, becoming one of the most beloved coaches in college football and really sports in general, how he's kind of turned Notre Dame and he's made Notre Dame great again. Let's be honest. You got some swag infused there. But when you look at the Bears, it's one thing to go to the NFL. It's another thing to go to a disaster. Why would you leave a made bed? I said the same thing about Sark. It could not be going better for him at Notre Dame. Hell, you have the Catholic Church. The Pope loves you. I brought him up twice now. You've got NIL. You've got resources. The Bears are a disaster. I think the ownership is a disaster. Yes, they have Caleb Williams. There's so many problems there. If I was Marcus Freeman, I'm using it as leverage. To me, it's like when you get the new update on your iPhone, but turns out it sucks worse than the old version. So if you're Marcus Freeman, use it as leverage. But it is a downgrade because that's how much of a dumpster fire the Chicago Bears are. I wouldn't touch them.
Chicago Bears downgrade from Notre Dame. Blaine, punt or go?
I mean, I'm just telling you right now, I just don't know how an NFL job's a downgrade from anything in college. I mean, we talk about this all the time. I mean, if you're Marcus Freeman and you want to coach at the highest level, the most elite level, well, I mean, there's 32 teams that you have that option to go coach, and that is the Chicago Bears. And what do the Chicago Bears need, to be honest? They need a culture hire. I'm saying the same thing with Pete Carroll. Right now, you have a young, fresh Marcus Freeman. He can get a bunch of young guys. He can fix the culture at Chicago. And when did Chicago win most of their games? When was Chicago feared? On the defensive side of the ball, Marcus Freeman is a defensive savant. So I don't think it would be a downgrade to go coach at the highest level of football that we have, that 32 teams that guys killed to try to get a job here. So is it a compliment for Marcus Freeman? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to take the job? No. But would it be a downgrade to go coach in the NFL? Absolutely not.
So it sounds like, I mean, it's current. I'm trying to pull up his contract here. I mean, I don't think he's making 13.
They extended him.
They extended to like 2030. He's making $9 million.
I mean, it's a similar situation to what popped up every single offseason with Jim Harbaugh, with NFL interest and his Michigan contract. It went back and forth, but you're talking about at minimum $5, $6, $7 million more per year to coach in the NFL. Not that means anything. I mean, look, like if you had 3 years guaranteed in the NFL, is that better than if you could coach at Notre Dame for the next 15, which going to a national championship bought you up a lot of equity? I mean, at what point, Jake, is it just a financial decision? You say, like, I got to take the job.
Well, I think you run the math out. You just played it out. Yeah, let's say they pay him $4 million more a year than the $9 million he's making now. What if he goes to Notre Dame and says, hey, I want $11 million? All right, how long do you got with the Bears? You haven't proven anything in the NFL. With Notre Dame, you got to 2030? I'm not a mathematician, but that's 5 years now. 9 times 5 is 45. That's $45 million. That's great. I go to Chicago. You give me a 3-year deal that pays me $12 million. Again, not a mathematician. That's $36 million. I just lost $9 million to go to a place where I have proven nothing. You are the head coach at Notre Dame, and you're more popular than ever. You don't leave a made bed when you're the king sleeping in the castle. I don't think you do that. I think you'd be crazy to do that. That's why it's a downgrade. It ain't the Cowboys. This is the Bears. I don't think they can get the water fountains right, and they don't exactly have a lot of patience, especially for a guy that's never won in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh had been in the NFL. That's a little bit of a difference there, I think. And
it just come off a national championship.
Had just come off a national championship.
Which was my next question. How much does what happens next Monday in the national championship affect his decision? Pete Carroll went back to the NFL after he got a couple natties at USC. Nick Saban tried his hand after he got that first natty at LSU. Jim Harbaugh, national championship at Michigan, decided to return. If he wins the national championship at Notre Dame, is that more like, hey, next challenge up? And then if he loses next Monday, is like, no, we got to run this thing back?
Well, I think it's whatever the mentality of Marcus Freeman is. Do you want to coach against the best? Do you want to play against the best? It's not at Notre Dame. That's not the best. All right, it's a big part of college football. We can all agree about that with their history and their tradition there. But the best are a league up from you in the NFL. Do you want to prove you're the best in college football? Or do you want to prove you're the best in the world?
You say that. I don't look at Kirby Smart as like shying away from the best, and I see him as like a college guy. Right?
Was Nick Saban better than some of the coaches in the NFL, you think?
Nick Saban coached college.
Yeah, I understand that, but he went to the NFL and the Dolphins for a couple years and didn't exactly work out. I don't think everybody looks at Nick Saban and says, well, you were great in college football, but you're really not that great
football coach ever.
But
he's not the greatest. Who is the greatest coach ever?
Nick Saban.
Ever.
Nick
Bill
Saban.
Belichick.
Is it?
You won at the highest.
Yeah.
You won at the highest
with Tom
level
Brady.
of football.
I heard
with Tom Brady.
Like you won the highest. Nick Saban's the greatest college football coach ever.
Well,
Bill Belichick is the greatest football coach ever because you coached at the highest point of football we have, and you dominated. That's what I go off. There could be a high school coach better than Nick Saban. If we're talking about this,
so
he won 60 high school state championships.
You think it's easier to coach in college than the NFL? I know we got to move on, but you think it's easier to coach in college than it is in the NFL?
I think it's harder to win in the NFL than it is in college.
I don't know. I think all the teams are closer. I think the teams in the NFL are closer.
I think it was a lot easier to harbor talent in college when Nick Saban was in there, but talent's divvy out in the NFL. It's harder to coach if everything is even.
And now it's going to start divvying out more with transfer portal and NIL, which is going to make Bill Belichick's experiment at UNC more interesting.
Very true.
We're going to get to him in just a second. You got the next state.
Yeah, guys. Mike Vrabel signs a multi-year deal with the New England Patriots, who also happen to have $131 million in cap space, so they can make some moves. My statement, Blaine, I'll start with you. Mike Vrabel will win a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. Punt or go?
Punt. What? No, first of all,
Don't get mad at me for asking the question.
It's going to be a triage tent their second year when he's there. Second of all, you're not beating the Chiefs. You're not. You have no superstar talent on this team. Drake May's good. We'll see. Not great. Mike Vrabel, from a physical and demanding standpoint, the Patriots are not built for what Mike Vrabel wants to do. He will not win a Super Bowl. You're not going to beat the other teams that have elite talent on both sides of the ball. You're walking into a dumpster fire. That's what the Patriots are right now. They're an absolute dumpster fire, and Mike Vrabel is not going to magically fix that. With who? With who?
$131 million in cap space? You can't go, we can't move that bus.
Yeah, go sign Dak Prescott and see how it goes for you. But I'm just telling you right now, Drake May is going to look like he just got back from Vietnam in year 2.
David Cohn. God, please don't get mad at me for asking this. Mike Vrabel will win a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm trying to process everything that I just heard right there. Yes, I'm going for this. Super Bowl football is back in New England with Mike Vrabel. To be honest with you, this hire should have been made a year ago.
I agree with that.
You knew this guy was available. He was a Super Bowl winner while he was there. And it's not anything against Gerard Mayo. This was the guy who should have been the next coach if you were already going to move on from Bill Belichick. This guy was coach of the year with the Tennessee Titans, and Ryan Tannehill's playing quarterback. And I don't mean for Ryan to catch strays. I'm just saying that's what he's capable of. This is a league where setting the culture from the top down still matters. This isn't the NBA. You're talking about a culture hire. This guy's about to get it right, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be hell for a little bit in that locker room. Taylor Lewan put out his video yesterday on what some of the rookies can expect. It's going to be hell, but it's going to be for the better. I'm thinking about Dan Campbell and all the success that he's had with the Lions. Mike Vrabel was that before Dan Campbell. Now, we'll say one thing. To your point, one thing that Mike Vrabel needs to do, he needs to get the best young offensive coordinator he can in there. Because if you're going to be the CEO guy, you're going to be the culture guy, you need to get someone in to do what Ben Johnson has done with the Lions and help develop Drake May, because that AFC is a gauntlet.
If I were to give you, all right, do you think they're going to win it? Over under 5 years, it's going to take?
Under. Championship football.
Who was on that Titans team? You brought up Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk about the other guys. All right.
They had a good running back.
Derrick Henry's pretty good. Julio Jones pretty good.
But, hey, defense, physical defense. That's what this guy's going to bring. And not only that, maybe we can line Vrabel up and catch some touchdowns because he only caught 10 passes.
And all of them were touchdowns.
What was the stat?
He caught 10 passes when he was at the Patriots, and every single one he caught was a touchdown.
Yeah, maybe
it's like
line
the
him
center
up.
who never shoots threes. He shoots like 8 of them a year, but somehow he makes 6 of them.
It's going to be a Jackie Moon situation. He's the head coach and he's catching touchdowns.
That's exactly right. All right, David, what's the last one?
This one, Blaine's got this one.
Yeah, this one's on me, boys. All right? And look, we knew it was going to happen. All right? David, I'm going to start with you. Deion Sanders has done enough to earn an NFL coaching job? Punt or go?
From his time at Colorado?
Correct.
No, I'm punting that. If Deion Sanders, which the reports are now that the Cowboys are interested in Deion Sanders, the Raiders are interested in Deion Sanders. If Deion Sanders gets an NFL head coaching job, it's going to be because he's Deion Sanders, because he's prime, because he's built up brand equity, not necessarily what he's done at Colorado. I mean, great, you won 9 games when they won 1 before that. It's a great job. I'm not taking anything away from what he's done, but that's not the reason that you're going to get an NFL job. It's going to be the relationships that he's built up, possibly something with drafting Travis or Shadur, especially if it's the Raiders. Cowboys, I don't think, are going to be high enough up to get that pick. And I don't fault him for it. If you want to just go and be able to coach your sons, I'm jealous of you, man. I hope that my son and I can have a relationship like that for a long time. One thing I do find interesting, though, when we talk about has Deion Sanders done enough at Colorado to earn an NFL coaching offer, I remember when Brian Kelly at LSU had 2 top 10 picks, and Jayden Daniels, you just talked about him, went 9-3, and we criticized him and said, man, that's not good enough. You had 2 top 10 picks. You're going to be on the hot seat. In Colorado, Deion is going to have what looks to be 2 top 10 picks, but we're saying now he should go get the Raiders head job and no questions asked. I do think that's a little bit interesting.
All right, Jake. Deion Sanders has done enough to earn an NFL coaching job. You punting or you going?
I'm going. You had 1 year at Colorado where you tripled the win total. Yeah, you ended up winning 3 games from the year before, but it's always worked. I think Deion Sanders is an NFL guy. Deion Sanders' fame is more from the NFL than it was in college, and he was a beast in college. Heck, some people even remember Deion Sanders as a Major League Baseball player, another professional organization, but it's always worked. Say what you want about Prime, he has found a way. Comes out of nowhere at Jackson State, has a bunch of success. Comes over to Colorado, they couldn't win an inter-squad spring game before him, and he goes from 1 wins the year before, the previous coach, to 3, and then triples that to 9. It's always worked. So yes, talk about moving that bus. Talk about turning one of those old broke-down homes into a $500,000 house. Deion Sanders has done it at one of the hardest places to do it at a college that wasn't doing. So going to the NFL, going to the Raiders, where you're just a couple plays away, where you're a couple free agent moves away, where you can trade up and still coach for your son, I think Prime has proven enough. I think it's time to go for him to go to the NFL because deep down, I think that's where he's always wanted to be. You talk about being the best. You talk about coaching at the highest level. If that's what you're going to go with, and I'm not saying you had that take. I know it was Davis, but I think Deion Sanders sees himself as that. He wants to prove that, and he can say, boys, I made it a trifecta, right? I went from an HBCU to a Power 5 to now the NFL, and I think Mark Davis, much better fit, will let him do what he wants. Jerry Jones is not going to hire him because he'll.
That gets me my next question, David. Will Jerry Jones is Deion Sanders too big of a fish to swim in Jerry Jones' pond?
I don't know. People say that. I mean, he had the relationship with Jimmy Johnson prior when they were at Arkansas, so that's why that hire was made in the 90s, and clearly that worked out. I understand what you say about sycophants and yes men, and those are the type of coaches he hired. That's why I'm surprised he moved on from Mike McCarthy when Jason Garrett got so many years. But back to the Deion Sanders thing, I guess my ultimate point is whether or not Deion Sanders gets a shot in the NFL won't be based off what the record was at Colorado. Like, that interest is already going to be there because of the brand.
But if he was 1-11 though, you think it would still be there?
I think there was people who probably wanted Deion Sanders to be an NFL head coach before he even got the Jackson State job.
Well, maybe the best example is Antonio Pierce. Maybe that's the best.
That's what I'm saying. The Raiders are already coming off of an example with that. And Deion Sanders is 100 times the brand as a football player than Antonio Pierce was. So, but to your point on he's more of an NFL guy. Yes, he built his brand in the NFL. Don't you think that he can have more, sway and influence on the college game through recruiting? Yes, you can land some big free agents here and there because they just want to come and have the prime experience, right, and play for Deion Sanders. But you can do that with every single player at the college level. He's clearly formed a good friendship with Nick Saban. They're in the Aflac commercials and all that. If he calls Nick Saban and asks for his advice, isn't that what Nick Saban's going to say? You can have far more influence at the college game doing what you're doing with recruiting right now?
I think he already has. I think he already has when you look at the transfer portal. Hell, he got Travis Hunter to go to Jackson State, the #1 overall player. But I don't think that's what this is about. I think it's about more of what Blaine was talking about with Marcus Freeman. I think it's about what Prime wants.
Ego.
I think it's about what Prime views himself as. Yes, he can have all that sway, but he's kind of, not that they've won a national championship or made the playoff, but he's proven. You get Juju Lewis out of high school. Look at all these transfers that he's got in. He's shown he's been able to build it, and he uses that cachet, and he uses that brand. But I think this is more about Deion Sanders. And then you throw in the fact that the one denominator, the common denominator that he's had this whole time is what?
Shedeur?
His sons.
That's my next question. Like, what if he gets Shedeur? Let's say there's some way this works out where he goes to the Raiders and they get Shedeur, and Shedeur ends up being a Hall of Fame quarterback. He played for him at Jackson State, played for him at Colorado. He's going to having played for him in the NFL. In that hypothetical, don't you just run into the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady scenario in that?
Well, not for Blaine. He thinks Bill Belichick's the greatest.
Aren't you then just going to say, well, Deion Sanders was
good.
Only as successful as a coach because his son was a Hall of Famer?
Well, the best part about this and the why it's different, I made him. He came from me. That's a little bit different. It wasn't Tom Belichick. His son's the DC at North Carolina right now, and more power to him.
Bill drafted him.
Yeah, he did draft him. I agree with that. But Deion made him. And believe me, as someone who just got done making a human, and David, you know this, and Blaine, I think eventually you're going to know this, that hits a little bit different. Yeah, it's a machine, but it's my machine. I think that's the difference there.
All right.
Let's get to the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to get to this poll. Who won punter? Go, Blaine, David, or Jake? Blaine, 99%.
Yeah, right. Shut up.
All right. David, 43%. Blaine, 30%. Jake coming in at 27%.
What did I do? What did I do to y'all?
Well, the thing about it, like, y'all vote before even anybody says a word. There'll be 50 votes in there before anybody says a word. I'm just like, all right, whatever. All right, let's go to the chat. Let's go to CD. What's up, man? It says Deion Sanders isn't going to the NFL. Shedeur has even said if he's ready to move on from his dad as a coach.
That's the element I don't think anybody's talking about. Like, if you're Shedeur, like, at what point are you like, man, like, can I just go to college? Can I like go do my own thing? You know, can I just go out and do my own thing? And again, I don't know. It seems like they got a great relationship. It seems like him and Shiloh have a great relationship. I'm more about because my dad followed me to college. You know, he got the job at South after I was already there. So, like, it's at some point, is Shedeur like, hey, let me push me out of the nest. I want to go see if I can fly on my own. I don't know if it's that deep.
All right, let's go to the Buff Man with a $3 donation. Appreciate it. He says, if Deion leaves Colorado, we're so screwed. Everybody's going to leave off our team.
Yeah, it's like when the kid who throws the best parties in high school goes to college and, like, nobody's there to replace him.
My thing is you should have been prepping for that a long time ago. Like, Colorado fans already need to be of the mindset that Deion Sanders is here for a good time, not a long time. Whatever good he builds up, and he's built up a lot of good there, how can we keep that and sustain that moving forward after he leaves? Because there's going to come a day when he does leave.
Let's go to TM_NC. Jerry is getting frantic to win one more. He'll try anything to get one last hurrah before.
Feels like Phil Knight in Oregon.
Yeah, except bring in a guy that's going to tell him what's up. Like, I don't think that's a line Jerry's going to cross. I don't think that. That's why I think the Cowboys should hire Lincoln Riley.
But is Deion Sanders going to come? Like, yeah, he might come in and tell him what's up. But I keep going back to this Mike McCarthy point. Like, just look within the division and what the Eagles are doing. You're going to tell me that Mike McCarthy is that much worse of a coach than Nick Sirianni? No. Look, the organization is buttoned up. Their GM, Howie Roseman, they've gotten all the draft picks, the draft strategy that they've used, which is basically just draft all Georgia and Alabama players. That's one that you might want to implement if you're the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy wasn't the problem.
Yeah. This whole Lincoln Riley thing with you,
I just think I think Lincoln Riley's a better fit in the NFL than he is in college. You don't have to deal with recruiting. Not that he's a bad recruiter. You don't have to be an incredible hard ass. Not that Mike McDaniel's done great, but look at the way some of the coaches are built in the NFL, even the ones that have had success. Everybody doesn't have to be Dan Campbell. He's an offensive guy. I think he would fit in. It would be fun. You've got some defensive pieces. You talked about bringing in an offensive coordinator, get your Ben Johnson, right, that can come in there and as a defensive guy, Mike Vrabel, make the offense fun. I think the opposite would be true with Lincoln Riley. Do your offense? NFL guys go to ask Lincoln Riley all the time about the stuff that he's doing. Bring in a defensive coordinator that's 100% legit. Maybe it's somebody that just got fired or whatever. Let him do his thing. I think it's a better fit for Lincoln Riley in the NFL. One of the few times where a guy is a better fit in the NFL than he is in college. And he's not going to push back against Jerry Jones. It's not about the best hire. It's who Jerry Jones will hire. And I think Lincoln Riley would be a great name there. All right, David, can you tell him the phone number real quick?
Yeah, 1-855-236-3228. Those phone lines are open. Get your calls in. We want to hear your hottest take.
All right, let's get to our top plays of the weekend. And gentlemen, I will go first. Coney, as a Michigan alum, I know this one's going to hurt you. Jack Sawyer with the biggest play of the game to put it away against Texas. Texas is down 7 inside the 10-yard line. It's 4th and goal. Let's play the clip because there's a funny backstory on this as well. Let's go ahead and roll it. See Jack Sawyer coming off the edge. Strip sack. Then I'm going to pick it up.
And picked it up.
I tell you what.
That's the dude in Waterboy.
Yeah, typically the only white guys you see with a motor like this drive in NASCAR. But you talk about a complete player. I think he's going to be a pretty daggum good NFL player. He's pretty versatile as well. But the funny thing behind this, guys, Quinn Ewers and Jack Sawyer were roommates at Ohio State. I don't know if you ever watched the Netflix show, Worst Roommate Ever. Well, next season, if there is a next season, episode 1 needs to be Jack Sawyer because he is without a doubt. It's one thing to go drink the rest of my milk when I bought it and you're my roommate. It's another thing to strip sack, recover the fumble, and run for a 90-yard touchdown to ice the semifinal college football playoff game when we used to be roommates.
Is that a real show on Netflix?
Oh, it's a real show, Worst Roommate Ever.
They've got to do this.
You've got to.
Hilarious.
Well, I'm going to need 30%. Like, and it's copyrighted Credit Company. You can
33 if you're Jack Sawyer.
Yeah,
stay on brand for our jersey number.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I boycott Netflix. I'm not a huge fan.
You boycotted Netflix? Yeah, I can't wait for you to watch it later tonight.
Too woke for me. Let me go and pull up my top play right here. I tell you what, man, the more I watch this guy, just the better it gets. It's 4th and 1. 7, Denver just has 7, Buffalo 13. Josh Allen, he's built different. He's built different. He's legitimately one of the greatest to do it. Go ahead and run this clip.
God, they're good on that.
4th and 1, drop back. I have the feel of a god. Nope, don't like this. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to my 6th read. 4th and 1. He's down there somewhere. Absolute cash.
4th and 1.
What a catch. The throw, first of all, Josh Allen, just from a feel standpoint in the pocket, is absolutely elite. The throw was absolutely elite. The catch doesn't get talked about enough. Caught the ball, kept his feet up from the back with his size down. You can't teach that, baby. You were just born with that type of talent. Josh Allen. Maybe the MVP.
Run the ball with Josh Allen.
On 4th and 1?
Josh Allen's the only guy that leads the pocket early, and I'm like, well, it's going to work.
That play should be called extra. You're doing a lot of extra.
It just sucks if you're a defense, if you do everything right and still go up a touchdown.
Yeah. All right, bring mine up. Lad McConkey. Let's show something good
Exciting
for the Chargers.
White boy summer.
Ball on the 14. Run this, please.
God, the Chargers uniforms go so hard.
Drop back for Justin Herbert. This was one of the ones that was completed to his team, which was good. Look at Lad McConkey taking off.
And they say Georgia can't develop wide receivers.
I didn't know Lad McConkey. I didn't know his game would translate to the NFL like that. Like being a solid number 2 or solid number 3 receiver, okay. Like that's entering wide receiver 1 type territory when you can make plays like that. Yeah, they miss him at the University of Georgia, needless to say. I do want to talk about Justin Herbert real quick. I'm glad someone asked about him in the chat because all I've seen, it was a terrible performance, 4 interceptions. 1 wasn't his fault. That's the way it goes for a quarterback. 3 of them were, though. Everyone's saying that Justin Herbert is so overrated. And my question for those people is like, well, where'd you have him rated? Like, if you think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, then yeah, okay, he's overrated. If you think he's even if you have him top 2 or 3 in the AFC, like you're taking Patrick Mahomes over him, you're taking Josh Allen, you're going to take Lamar Jackson. I mean, you start to have the conversation down ballot with the Joe Burrows. The AFC is so stacked. I don't have Justin Herbert right there. I think he's right in the bottom part of that mix. So does he need to perform better in the postseason? Yes. This was a horrendous performance. But what I say about Justin Herbert is Jim Harbaugh just got there. The same Jim Harbaugh that turned Alex Smith into a playoff winning quarterback, that turned Colin Kaepernick when he got drafted into a Super Bowl appearing quarterback. Justin Herbert didn't even hardly know the playbook through half the season. He only threw 3 interceptions for the whole year. Justin Herbert's going to be just fine. The Chargers are going to be just fine. They need to go to the draft, get a true number 1 wide receiver or someone to complement Lad McConkey with the way he's playing, and a dog at tight end. Think about what Jim Harbaugh could do with the likes of Brock Bowers, a tight end like that. That's what I think.
Where would you rank Justin Herbert?
We should actually make our.
I got the list right here. If you want to get, if we have time today, if you want to go over, we can just run through it real quick. Lamar Jackson, no. Josh Allen, no. Joe Burrow, no. Jared Goff, no. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I'll take Justin Herbert. I'll take the ceiling and the future that Justin Herbert would have to play, especially if Jim Harbaugh is the head coach. Like I like that scenario. I think that's why Jim Harbaugh went out there. I think he's going to be just
Baker Mayfield.
No.
I'll take Justin Herbert.
Well, I think Cohn's right, though. It's like, where did you have him rated? Nobody's saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes. Like, nobody's saying he's the best quarterback.
He's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
I think so. I think he's on that.
I think you can make a really good argument that he is. I think you make a decent argument that he's not. But here's the way I look at it. I would love to see a poll from how many GMs and all the teams in the NFL that would take Justin Herbert at quarterback. I bet it'd be over 20.
Yeah.
Bet it'd probably be 25.
I think about him like the other guy in L.A. right now, Matt Stafford, right? Was he ever the best quarterback in the league? Maybe he threw for the most yards in some years, but Justin Herbert could do that. Never thought like, oh, Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in the league. I thought about him as a top 10 guy, and he was good enough to go win a Super Bowl, which I think Justin Herbert will be.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right.
All right, poll. Who had the best top plays? Blaine, David, or Jake? David coming in 26%, Blaine 34%, Jake 41%.
So
the Buckeyes.
See what happens when you complain.
Where's roommate? That's why I did it. All right, let's quickly, guys. We got a game tonight. I want to talk about the Vikings and the Rams. Coney, do you have a kind of a key you're looking at?
Yeah, to me, the Rams protecting Matt Stafford. Ironic enough, we were just talking about him. I think that if the Rams go as he's able to go, this Brian Flores defense so aggressive, man. They just show you so many different looks. The Rams are going to screen them to death. Sean McVay is going to have everything working: tunnel screens, traditional screens, getting the ball out of Matt Stafford's hand quick. But the more they're able to protect him, let him get the football to Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, get the ball to Kyron Williams out of the backfield. I think that's what's going to give the Rams a chance in this game.
Well, I agree with you. Mine's similar to yours. The Rams are going to have to find a way to be explosive. You come into the playoffs from a points per game standpoint as the lowest scoring offense at 21.6. But it is about matchups. Styles make fights. Do not forget that it was the game when Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua came back when they beat the Vikings the first time on a short week as well. And they put up some crazy numbers. I got them right here. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua combined for 12 catches for 157 yards and a touchdown, which I think opens up Kyron Williams and the run game more. Now, I know some of the Vikings coaches talked about they didn't expect Puka to play, kind of were prepared for it. How much do I buy into that? I don't know. But there's also a little caveat here, guys. Will Reichert, all right, rookie kicker.
From Alabama.
Who kicked the kick six kick.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that.
Oh, yeah.
Was on fire starting out, gets hurt, comes back. He's missed 4 of 14 field goals. This is a game that if it is low scoring or even high scoring, could come down to a field goal. The Vikings say they trust him. We'll see, but it's going to come down. The Rams have to find a way to be explosive, and they've already done it against Minnesota.
This game got relocated. Correct?
It's in Arizona.
Yeah. It's in Arizona. How much of that is going to play?
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge difference, and I do think, one, Sam Darnold can't overthrow people 5 times for touchdowns.
That was bad against
Sam Darnold has looked elite all year. He's looked mostly elite all year until that Lions games. Look, man, if it's me and I'm Sam, you have the weapons around you. Just find a way to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. Find in early. You get him hot. You get him going early. We know about the defense, what it's going to do to the Rams. They're going to go after Stafford. That's just the way they're built. The Vikings go when Sam Darnold goes. If Sam Darnold can go, I like the coaching and the roster from the Vikings. But I'm telling you, man, Matthew Stafford, dog, this dude's built different. I don't think he gets talked about enough in the NFL from a quarterback talent standpoint. But I do think the Vikings are a better team. If Sam Darnold plays well, the Vikings will win this game.
Yeah, very interesting. Coney, quickly, I know we got to get to the phone lines. The Bill Belichick quarterback thing.
Oh, yeah, that's our not top player.
Yeah, we got a not top player we forgot to get to. Do we have the video of the new transfer quarterback to North Carolina, Justin Bieber's long-lost brother? Let's just play this because he is now committed, became the first transfer commitment, I think, to Bill Belichick.
This is official?
This is official. He was a 4-star out of high school. I believe he was at Texas. Then he just transferred to North Carolina. Let's play this video real quick. I mean, you can see the filters. I mean, it's basically a filter guard commercial. I mean, it looks like he's about to go Super Saiyan with that hair. Here's where I'm at, and I hate...
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, look, it's pretty simple to me. This kid will not last with Bill Belichick. I think he'll hop in the portal before the season is done. If he's going to yell at Tom Brady in meetings, you've got this guy who, again... More power to him. He can go be an Abercrombie and Fitch model if he wants after. I don't think he's going to be hunting for a job. I just wonder what his mom looks like, to be honest. But at the end of the day, if you're going to make these videos, and he's not the only one, we've seen some other guys, you better ball. You better ball, because if you don't, they are going to drag you through the streets like they did old boy in the Troy Brad Pitt.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, yeah, Sunshine. But hey, say what you want. Sunshine was really about it when it came down to it. I don't know this guy personally, but I just don't know. Like, it's got a lot of Kardashian vibes. You put this out there, you better ball, buddy, because they will feed you to the sharks when it comes down to it.
Look, I don't know who this chick is. All right.
Classic Carolina guy.
I don't like this. Like, TikTok is ruining is ruining the youth in America. It is like, bring back bullying. Bring back. I am dead serious.
Oh, boy.
This is what happens when they're like, we need bullies back in today's society. He needs to get bullied. Someone bully him to fix it.
Hey, guess what?
All the time.
Guess what? You know who it is?
Yeah.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Bill.
That's who it's going to be.
Wait, so
I
this
bullied
guy-
my best friend in becoming a lawyer.
He
I
always
bullied
tells
him.
his story.
I bullied him.
The outlier example.
Sometimes you
of
bully
bullying.
him because you love him. All right? I don't know who this chick is, but will someone please bully this person so maybe they can reach their full potential one day?
So wait, this kid transferred from Texas, University of Texas?
I think.
So Texas had this guy on scholarship and Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. They were all in the same quarterback room. No wonder they're out here losing games.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. I just had too good of friends growing up. They'd have been like, don't put that out. You're like, hey man, should I post this? Just and it's like, nah. Some things, my uncle has a great saying, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Let's go. We got guys painting nails,
Sunshine.
holding purses.
I wasn't ready for
doing
Better ball.
Yeah, things are different.
I'm more upset about the high school he went to. What high school did he go to that he did not get bullied for 4 years?
Odds are, and we have a lot of people from California that watch the show. What are the odds you think he went to high school in California?
Oh, for sure. Sunshine is from California.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
All right, let's get to the hot take hotline. We're going to start off with Jimbo in New York. Jimbo, you got 60 seconds. What's your hot take, brother?
What's up, fellas? Good afternoon.
What up?
I'm just gonna get right to it. After watching Jayden Daniels' performances last night at Tampa Bay, not only is he the runaway rookie of the year, I think his 2024 campaign, in my mind, ranks among the 10 greatest rookie seasons in NFL history and top 3 for a quarterback. And for further context, before last night, the Redskins had not won a playoff game since I was in high school. Joe Gibbs was still coaching, and the great Sean Taylor just passed. So that's my hot take. And to follow that up real quick, where do y'all rank Jayden Daniels' rookie season all time?
Hi.
I mean, it's got to be up there with just about anybody's. And here's the thing, Jimbo, he ain't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your next round, it's going to turn up a notch, all right, because we know where you got to go. But at the end of the day, I think it's one thing if some things like fluked together. Jayden Daniels and them been hot from day one, right? It has made sense that Jayden Daniels can play from day one. He comes in, wins the job. What do the Redskins start doing? Start winning. They start winning playoff games. It's a franchise changer. Now, I go back to what I said earlier. The mental makeup of Jayden Daniels. I don't think he gets too high. I don't think he gets too low. And that gives you staying power. To me, that is why he is so dangerous. But Jimbo, it's up there with about as good as I've seen.
We talked to him at SEC Media Days, man. He's very grounded, very humble.
Grounded.
I think he's in it for the long haul. All right, that line's now open. Let's get a caller on it. Let's go to Texas Ed in Texas. You got 60 seconds, man. What's going on?
What's happening, fellas? I got 3 points I want to go across. One, Jake, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just one for the family, man.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Two, as a Texas fan and a Packers fan this weekend, please cue the music. Somebody kill me, please.
Yeah, that's a tough one. At least you're not a Titans and Auburn fan.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And the third thing, when it comes to Steve Sarkisian, he is still the coach for Texas, but I've said it for years now that I think he is the guy that he becomes an OC when he needs to be a head coach. He gets that big brain working, and he starts to draw up plays that don't work when you just need to get right after a team rather than try and overthink or try and be cutesy about your offense. He is great for this program. He needs to be the guy at this program. I think he needs to get that little flip in his head to where he becomes a head coach instead of an offensive coordinator.
Well, Ed, I think you're spot on. We all know those overthinkers.
Yep.
The people that can tell you the way the orbit works for most of the planets. They can do math at an incredible rate, but they struggle to order off the dollar menu at McDonald's. There's some things that people just overthink, and they do too much. And a couple play calls does not define Sark. If you think Sark is a bad play caller or you think he doesn't know offense, I think you're absolutely nuts. But there are times, and we see this with a lot of really, really smart people, that you overthink simple things. And I think, and it's not just once. Go back to the Oklahoma game from last year with Texas. For some reason, you get inside that red zone, inside that 5-yard line, and you start, we watched the Seahawks do it and lose the Super Bowl. Instead of just turning around and handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch, overthinking is the truth.
Where is it the toughest to call plays at?
In the red zone.
In the red
without
zone.
a doubt.
I just don't think Sark's a great red zone play caller. I don't, but I don't think we should be complaining about Sark overthinking. He's an offensive coordinator, he's a head coach. They're going to overthink regardless. Man, y'all made it to the semifinals of the college football final, dog. You ran into a better team in Ohio State. I think Steve Sarkisian is just fine. At this point, I'd be worried about losing him to an NFL job because I wouldn't be surprised if he got hired at the Cowboys.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying fire Steve Sarkisian. Everybody has a weakness. Like if overthinking, a lot of people do it. Most people do it in certain things, and a lot of time in their specific field. But there is a pattern of him trying to get too cute, and that's what you saw at the 1-yard line. It doesn't mean he's not an elite coach. It doesn't mean Texas fans should want him gone. It doesn't mean he's stupid or a bad play caller. I just think sometimes you get a little cute, and we see that all the time.
I think it was actually a really good look for Texas, not only to be so good on defense this year, but for that to actually be the stronger side of the ball in this playoff game. I know you might say, well, no. If you're an offensive-minded head coach, that needs to be your strongest side of the ball. But we talk about, you just talked about Lincoln Riley. How many times have we said, man, he just cannot get the defensive side of the ball right. When you do that time and time again, that's when people say, man, you should just stick to being a coordinator, not a head coach. So the fact that he could get that defense so dialed in this year at Texas, I think bodes well for him as a head coach, no matter what level he goes to. That line's now open. Let's get a caller on it. Let's go to Tyler in Florida. Tyler, you got 60 seconds, man. What's your hot take?
How we doing today? Jake, congratulations, brother.
Thanks, man. I can't wait to go home.
I bet. Hot take. I think I like the Carson Beck pickup for Miami. I think from a tangible and talent aspect, I don't think there's many as good as him in the country. Just hoping he can pull it all together, get a couple more weapons around him in the portal. I think we're going to be. I think it's all right. Just got to fix up that defense.
No, Tyler, look, I think I saw somewhere Carson Beck's going to make around $10 million in NIL at Miami.
I think it was 4.
I heard 4.
It was 4. I've
heard 1. I've heard 1 through 4. So who knows?
Well, look, regardless, I think it's more money than he's going to make in the NFL in the long run.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
There's a couple things. And again, sorry, Danny Cannell, but you're playing in the ACC. It should be a little bit easier. But Tyler, you brought up a great point.
Correct.
The weapons around him. Carson Beck is not a creator. He is a conductor. He needs to have the people around him to be able to make the plays instead of not that Jayden Daniels didn't have people around him, but he could escape things and create and improvise, kind of similar to Quinn Ewers, right? He's not a magician. He needs people around him because Carson Beck, again, not that he's a paraplegic or that he can't run. I need to see what Miami has around him, Tyler, including the defense, because that was their problem.
Yeah.
It was not the offense.
Who cares y'all sign a quarterback? Y'all's defense was atrocious. You can don't even have a quarterback. It doesn't matter at this point. Y'all give up 50 a game. I watch y'all get run for 4 quarters. Thank God y'all had Cam Ward. Y'all somehow managed to win 10 games, but the defense needs to be the first thing y'all care about. Carson Beck, mediocre quarterback. He's going to be mediocre at Miami. He might be a third-day draft pick. We'll see, but y'all need to fix the defense. I haven't seen a defense that bad since I watched LSU play with Jayden.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Tell you what else good for Miami. They signed the kid out of Milton, the Luke Nickel kid. So I think he's going to be a really good player. Best of both worlds. You got a high-level transfer, and regardless of what you think about Carson Beck, still a high-level transfer. And you signed a good high school quarterback so that you can have someone develop behind him.
It's called having your cake and eating it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to Eric in Delaware. Eric, you got 60 seconds, man. What's your hot take?
Hey, guys, it's me again from last time. To your question, I'm giving Coach DeBoer 2 seasons because after the Michigan game, you can see Jalen Monroe regress bad. And you can tell during the season, our season went how he went. Our highs were highs, our lows were low. And I knew it was bad when Jake said he would take him at Auburn if he entered the transfer portal. I just knew it was over then.
I think that's more of a knock on who Auburn's had. Would you take Peyton Thorne over Jalen Monroe?
No.
Yeah. Congrats.
Quarterback like that, because he loves passing projects like that because he can fix them. Also, before I leave, I just want to say to Jake and Blaine, roll tide. Don't forget who runs the state of Alabama and who's your big brother. Y'all might get some licks in now and then, but we run the state of Alabama. Y'all are little brothers. Never forget. Roll tide.
Well, look, it's hard for me to argue with
in Delaware
with what's gone on the field.
Y'all soft.
Yeah, I just
y'all soft. Y'all been soft.
Eric, I think to your point, yeah, Alabama has had more success than Auburn has on the field, but I think it's going to bring a lot of people in the Auburn space, and y'all know I'm going to call it like I see it, personal blossoming joy to watch this whole thing burn, to watch all of it burn down, all the things that the guys that are now 25, 30 years old told their kids about how great it was to be an Alabama fan. You're never going to get to experience that. You know what you lost today? 5-star offensive tackle Ty Haywood. And to be honest with you, because of that attitude, and Eric, I really appreciate you watching, brother. I don't think it could happen to a better group of people. So just enjoy the
Canada board. Look, you better have a good year. You're fired.
Yeah, so
you're
we'll say, I
fired
just don't. And I talked to somebody who was a legend in Alabama that played there. I'm not going to say his name, but he doesn't think Kalen DeBoer is enough of a hard ass to have success at Alabama. And not because he's a bad coach, but I do think it takes a certain type of person to have elite success. Mike Shula was a really nice guy. He put TVs up in the weight room so you could watch him while you ran on the treadmill. Nick Saban threw those TVs out on the practice field the first day he got there. Sometimes the type of person you are does translate to certain places. And I don't think Kalen DeBoer being Mr. Rogers is going to work at Alabama. You can wear your green sweater. You can have a train run on the track in front of you. But if you don't win games and win a lot of them and win championships, they will tar and feather you and run you out of town regardless of how many times you hold the door open for old ladies.
All right, that line's now open. Let's get a caller on it. 1-855-236-3228. Let's go to Kirk in Canada. Kirk, 60 seconds. What's your hot take?
First things first, congratulations on fatherhood, Jake, man. That's so awesome.
Thanks, man. I worked pretty hard on it.
I agree with your tweet there. Women are much stronger than men for sure.
Yeah, after watching that, it ain't even close, bud. I mean, we're not talking about who's going to win a fist fight. That's just biology most times.
Have you ever tried to play a basketball game with a sprained ankle?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Or with a wig on? I have.
Yeah, I have.
The second thing was Connor McDavid's birthday today. He's 28 years old, fourth fastest player in NHL history to get 1,000 points. So
he's
shout
28?
out to the birthday boy.
I'm old, man.
Yeah. No, it's he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. And the last one, how about a little hockey bet there, Blaine?
Yeah, whatever. I don't even care anymore. Let's do it.
19.5.
19.5. All
Flyers,
right. 19.5. Flyers. All right. You have to send me $1,000. If not, I'll send you some merch.
Yeah, which in Canadian dollars is $9 US.
Yeah, y'all part of America now anyways, man.
Yeah, welcome home, Kirk.
Yeah, it's going to get
Team USA's hockey team got a whole heck of a lot better.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Kirk, big Maple Leafs guy.
Yeah.
Big Maple
Shout out
Leafs
to
guy.
him.
Appreciate it, Kirk. Thanks for calling in, man. All right, let's move on to Michael in Texas. Michael, what's your hot take?
For my take, Jay, congratulations on beautiful baby girl.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she and your wife are happy and healthy right now.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's the greatest thing ever.
It is. So my take, it's more of a strategy. So the way the Bills will beat the Ravens this coming Sunday, they literally just have to make the Ravens one-dimensional, make Lamar beat them from the pocket, load the box, stop Derrick Henry, keep Lamar in the box so he doesn't scramble, limit the tight ends, but without Zay Flowers, it'll be hard for the Ravens to throw against the Bills. So stop the run, you win the game.
Yeah, and you got to find a way to shut down Mark Andrews in that tight end room. I don't think enough people talk about Mark Andrews, but that's why Lamar has become what he's become, because it used to be, all right, let's stop Lamar, not just running on quarterback design runs, but when the play breaks down outside of the pocket, finding somebody after 6 seconds, 7 seconds, having to cover somebody. Now he can beat you from the pocket. So I think that's what the Bills are going to do. but Lamar's evolution has made that a lot harder, and that's why they're having the success they're having.
Well, we're not 100% Zay Flowers will not play in this game.
Yeah, I was wondering what.
Not 100%. But
Rashad Bateman's been
I think
pretty
a lot
good,
of
too.
people approach this game like, hey, man, let's make him one-dimensional.
Just stop Derrick
Let's just
Henry.
make him one-dimensional.
Just stop him.
Derrick.
Hey, let's not let Derrick Henry throw
Just stop him.
We've got to stop him.
Yeah.
I mean, good
And then
luck.
299 yards later,
Yeah, good
they're
luck.
on to the, and that's the Steelers defense.
Yeah.
That's Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, who's built on defense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
this ain't the Broncos. But
I can't wait for this game, though.
it's going to be great.
I can't wait.
It's going to be great.
All right, that's it for call-ins, y'all. Thanks so much for calling into the Hot Take Hotline.
All right.
Hot.
Get up.
Ah.
Go do these bets and then totally not forget about Fit It in a Minute because I'm not going to, David.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's pull up the bets today. I know there's an NFL game, but your boy has been really hot betting college basketball. Little 6-leg, $300 parlay winner. So I'm going to stick with it. Rutgers at home playing UCLA. Mick Cronin's too busy talking about how delusional the players are and how much they suck to win this game. Give me Rutgers plus 3.5 at -112. Then Boston College and Notre Dame in the basketball game nobody is talking and or cares about because Notre Dame's playing in the national championship and it's Boston College. So give me the over at 140 that's going off at -112.
Did Mick Cronin get kicked out of the game? You guys said?
He's won 500 games, David.
David, yeah.
All right? It's the player's fault.
Wow, sorry.
It's the player's fault. How dare
Bring it
you?
up. All right, my bets. Rams, Vikings under. You said every wild card playoff game the unders hit so
Yeah, I
far.
lost a lot of money.
That's how you know the over will hit today. But you know what? I'm going to ride with the under 47.5 -108. Let's see. And then Matt Stafford, we did get it right. My autocorrect always goes to Stanford for some reason. He didn't even go there. Matt Stafford, over 250 passing yards, plus 100. Nice little dog bet there.
We'll see.
All right, bring my bets up. I mean, did okay this weekend. I don't understand how every game goes under.
Especially when they score on the first drive.
Yeah, Broncos. Hey, it looks great. We're not going to score for the rest of the game. But a little NFL action tonight. Give me the Vikings -2.5. I believe in Sam Darnold. Give me Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown. You got to find him in the end zone. You missed him 5 times against the Lions. That will not happen again tonight.
All right, let's look at aces. He's not a pet detective. He may be one day, but he is David Cohn's son. He's going to take the Rams plus 120 on the money line in a quote-unquote home game, even though it's in Arizona. Again, our prayers go out to everybody affected by the wildfires in California. That stuff's just nuts. And then he's going to ride with the Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown. Probably a smart bet. Maybe Sam Darnold won't overthrow him 11 times in a row
ace
tonight,
money.
going off at -110.
Bet buds.
All right, let's get to these donations. If you donate today, guys, really appreciate it. We're going to start the day off with Tim Tucker with a $2 donation. Says Dion saying he came from my balls, though. That's the difference.
That's what I brought up. Look, it's one thing if I buy the orange juice from the store. It's another thing if I grow the oranges and freshly squeeze them myself.
Yeah, there are worse things than you coaching your son and he wins you a bunch of Super Bowls and people criticize you that you couldn't have done it without.
Yeah, it'd be like if Ken Griffey Jr. or Ken Griffey Sr. was a baseball coach and he drafted his son, like they're both bald. Like, yeah, like that's me. Surprise.
Let's go to $5 donation from the Hawk. He says, do any of you want to buy one of my brother's Super Bowl tickets? How much do you think they're going for?
Super Bowl?
Yep.
$2,500.
Yeah, $3,000.
$4,000.
No,
you
I
have
don't.
to sit next to me, though.
I would love to sit next to you. It would be fun, but I had a girl, so I got to pay for a wedding. So I'm trying to stack this cheddar.
$5 donation from David Spa. Appreciate it. If Texas playing against Notre Dame, if Sark runs RPO/QB play action rollout with Manning on first and go on the one. Love you guys and congratulations, Jake. I just don't know why we didn't see more of Arch Manning in this game.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to use them, that would have been the time. And I thought you were going to say an RPO with Quinn Ewers, and I was like, that's not going to work because the first word in RPO is run, and Quinn Ewers only runs to the gas station. He doesn't really run for. Even though I will say he took a hell of a hit in that game when he took off one time. He showed some guts there.
$5 donation from Warren. The Notre Dame Jeremiah Love 2-yard
run.
Fought for 6 players, touchdown run. Should have been top play. Mm-hmm. That was pure determination.
That was I literally told my wife that was the greatest 2-yard run on a hurt knee.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the other thing. Like he has a hurt leg. All runs are not built the same. Like that run to me would have been better than Saquon's 70-yard touchdown run where nobody touched him to the house. That's how good of a run that was. And I just think that's Notre Dame in a microcosm a little bit, man. And that's, you talk about a momentum play. We always think of jarring hits and all that stuff as a momentum-changing play. That run just elevated everybody.
Also, the Dallas Goedert touchdown. With this
God.
That was another one that I had.
I always love to see someone get adopted.
Derrick Henry adopted somebody.
Yeah, that one too.
Dallas Goedert, like,
That's your son now.
Yeah, you have to take care of him now.
$5 donation from Dalton Hudgens. Appreciate it, Dalton. With Dabo bringing in transfers and hiring Tom Allen from Penn State, will the Tigers compete for a national championship next year?
I think it gives them their best chance. You know, we talk about eventually you got to make the decision. I'm either going to evolve or I'm going to retire. We've seen a lot of other coaches, and Dabo's not as old as some of the other ones, and it's been football, it's been basketball in college. Say, you know what? I'm not dealing with it. I'm done with this new era. Dabo says, hey, we'll bring in some transfers. I'll go take other people's coaches. And good for Dabo, because I think it does show you, as goofy and cringy as he can be sometimes, he really does want the best for Clemson, and him making that pivot, it shows you that. And it makes them more dangerous.
$5 donation from Haris.
You got this.
God,
got this.
Chinasome. As a Commanders and Ohio State fan, I don't know what to do with myself.
Don't change anything. That's the thing. Don't change anything at all. Same routine, same mindset. I tell you what, Redskins fans been waiting a long time for that one, buddy. Didn't wait a long time.
Let's go to Jim with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Jim. Home field advantage in the snow at Orchard Park is brutal for everyone. 35-31 Buffalo. We go into the AFC chip and jumping through some tables.
Again, I want to go to a Bills game so bad. I agree with you, though. The home field advantage is going to matter, especially this time of year. I just wonder how many Bills fans are not as worried about the Ravens as I am the Chiefs. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I think home field advantage is until you have to tackle Derrick Henry.
Well, that sucks. That sucks in hot weather. That would suck in the desert. That would suck in the North Pole. Derrick Henry, just a monster.
$1 donation from Bill. Nothing under that bill, but appreciate it. $2 donation from Serb. Did y'all like the DoorDash I got you for the live stream?
Yes.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
Got destroyed. Let's go to a $2 donation from WC. He says, welcome back, Daddy Jake. Congratulations on the newborn. $5 donation from the LA man. He says, hey, guys, my house got burnt down in the fire. Found y'all's show. Really enjoy it. Justin Herbert is dead to me.
Man, sorry to hear about your house.
I hate to hear that.
It's devastating out there.
Yeah, man. And again, anything, we can do to maybe bring a little bit more peace to the people out there. It's just awful. Again, man, I pray for you and everybody out there involved in it. It's awful. But it really puts a lot of things into perspective, and we're glad we could bring you a little bit of peace during this time, man. Sorry about that.
Justin Herbert's going to be fine, by the way. That's going to be the least of your worries.
Yeah. All right, last donation of the day, a $5 donation from Big Bill. Appreciate it. He says, I can't believe a national championship champion is about to win, and their only loss will be against Northern Illinois.
That is wild to think. If Notre Dame win, even if they don't, at what point if I'm Northern, this is why the transitive property people, I can't do it. I can't do it, because if you say, well, this team lost to this team, so therefore they're not as good as that team, then you would have to look at me with a straight face if Notre Dame wins it and say that Northern Illinois was better than the national champion. And you, sir, would be wrong.
I saw someone saying that the two biggest upsets of the regular season, Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame and then Michigan beating the Buckeyes, were both that both of those teams being in the national championship after those two biggest upsets proves that the 12-team playoff is a disaster and it's a failure. And I'm just thinking, no, the Buckeyes weren't able to win the conference because of that upset. That matters to them. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it was something to that effect. And then the Northern Illinois loss meant that Notre Dame had to run the table. There was no other margin for error. And Notre Dame would have still made a 14 playoff, possibly even been the BCS team, the second team after Oregon in the BCS. Maybe it would have been a 2-loss Georgia, maybe 2-loss Texas, but Notre Dame would have been right there knocking on the door. They still would have had the same loss.
Just join a conference. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. All right, David. It's time for you to fit it.
Yes.
In a minute. Let's put a minute up on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
David Cohn, and go.
The rest of the news you need to know. Former LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey has been accused of causing a crash that killed a 78-year-old war veteran on December 17th and then fleeing the scene without rendering aid or calling authorities. Lacey turned himself into authorities Sunday night, was jailed, and then released on a $151,000 bail, according to police records. Eagles starting linebacker Nakobe Dean is believed to have suffered a serious knee injury in Sunday's wild card playoff win over the Packers, is expected to miss the remainder of the playoffs. That's tough. The NBA fined Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards $50,000 on Monday for making obscene gestures towards game officials. It marks the 5th time this season that Edwards has been fined, totaling $285,000. A 55-year-old Texas man, Michael Lewis of Denton, Texas, was arrested on felony stalking charges in Indianapolis after he allegedly sent threats and sexually violent messages to Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark on social media. He's scheduled to appear in court on Tuesday morning. And the Australian Open, the first tennis major of the year, is underway in Melbourne. Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner all advanced, but Stefanos Tsitsipas was upset in round 1 by Alex Michelson.
Good job, dude. What is that last
I didn't hear the thing go off of my ear.
Stefanos Tsitsipas?
Where's my timer?
Minute 14. Not
my
even close,
timer?
guys. Bring in the bets. You owe
We
me
had an
$100.
issue with the timer. I'm sorry.
Oh, who
Yeah,
cares?
there's
You need
an
to have it in your head.
I'll put it in
Mentally
post,
prepare
I swear.
yourself.
Yeah,
There's
don't
an
worry.
issue.
That's
Be in the
not on
moment.
me. Get ready to do 1,000
Hey,
burpees.
it's not delay a game.
I didn't know
if
you
the
were
clock
Jordan
stops.
Love.
Well, I like how Cone flexes too at the beginning. Like, he didn't even read the news. He just tells you this is the news you need to know, which has to take at least 2.5 seconds, which is a low-key, subtle, 100% David Cone flex.
I wanted to challenge.
Yeah, I love it.
You failed.
I don't think you
failed
failed,
that
David.
challenge.
You got it in my book. That Lacey stuff's crazy, man. Like, look, you made a mistake and hit somebody, and God, it's awful and terrible. Try and help them, dude. Like, how stupid are you?
Oh, it's the same guy who pretended to shoot somebody during a game.
But like, look, I saw that on social media. It's stupid to do, but this is a whole different level of stupid. That's a celebration in a football game. This is, you killed somebody driving allegedly and then didn't try and help them. Like, that just makes me think you're a terrible person.
Quickly, $5 donation from Brian Ringer. Appreciate it, Brian. Why do some OCs and DCs want to be a head coach? Why go to the Bears when you can stay with the Lions and win games?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because some guys want to call their own shots, right? It's, why do people start their own businesses after working for somebody for a while? I think it just depends on the person. Some people don't. My father didn't ever want to be a head coach. He just wanted to be a defensive coordinator. But most of these guys work their way up to coordinator to hopefully one day become a head coach. So, look, at the end of the day, like, does Wink Martindale want to be a head coach in the Big Ten? Probably not. To each their own. But Ben Johnson, I think, wants to be a head coach. Like, these guys want to know. Some guys can't lay their head on the pillow at night if they didn't give it a chance. I
spend a lot of time directing, so I always think about it with, like, directors and cinematographers. Some of the best cinematographers in the world, they know what they do best. They just want to be that. Roger Deakins, like, all those type of guys. But some cinematographers, like, hey, after I shoot a certain number of movies and I make them look great, hey, I want to be the director.
Yeah.
Let's see what I'm made of. So just different schools of thought.
Definitely. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody. Absolutely loaded show today. We got to all of it. Can't believe it. Good job, fellas. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Got a great show for you tomorrow. I'm going to go home and kiss on my brand new baby girl.
Yeah.
Love y'all, but love that more. Like, the chances of me not understanding what life is really about after this, we're going. I'm staying so hot. Gone.
Just absolutely.
I'm not going to miss.